Aloha everyone, what's going on my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. For this video, we talk about the core experience in RuneScape as it was talked about in the latest live stream. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's go.
Cats is the illest. What you talking about, Willis?
Alright guys, in the latest live stream, this was mainly touched on with mod Hypnos, so we're going to jump into it. So as many of us know from revealed in RuneFest last year, there was a bunch of key core features that were shown off. I'm showing them here on screen, the list of basically what was shown off, and they have delivered 6 out of 8 of these things here on the list, which is pretty impressive, because when they first revealed it, Mod Pips on the stage of RuneFest was basically saying that these aren't really guaranteed and highly experimental, so the fact that we got 6 out of 8 is really great progress. So let's talk about the last 2 and probably the most important or the most wanted, and in turn the most work for Jagex. So first off, we have the client side movement prediction. I have touched on this in the past, and the challenges with this are still in place, in the sense that while it does make the game much more responsive and the prediction is a pretty great feature overall, they have not found a way to tackle it when it comes to combat. So the compromise that they were thinking about is simply having it turned off on combat, and then you have the additional challenge of, do you keep movement in RuneScape consistent between activities, which would mean at its current stage not implement this client-side movement prediction at all, or settle for the inconsistent movement between activities and enable the client-side movement prediction, at least for non-combat activities. So that's still a challenge that they're, working on. I don't know if it's something that they're going to try to implement to work with combat or not. It's still yet to be seen. But Mod Hypno said that they do plan on doing a beta to gather feedback from players to help them make that decision going forward. However, this beta for the client-side movement prediction is not something that's going to come soon per se. So we're going to have to wait and see to find out more information about exactly when we can expect, the beta for that, and then in turn a full-fledged release. Moving on to the faster tick rate. I don't have a lot of information on this at all, to be honest, unfortunately, because Mod Hypnos has said that it's far trickier to do due to the technical limitations that they have compared to client-side movements. Although we did see it working presumably fairly well during RuneFest last year, although that was one very tiny section of the game, just fighting combat dummy, and doing something like increasing the tick rate affects every aspect of the game, and I imagine that it is a colossal undertaking. So again, not really much more information on that, just that it's still on their minds and it's still a big challenge to overcome. Moving on, many people, especially recently, like on Reddit, etc., have been concerned about the settings menu. It's very convoluted and not the easiest to navigate, especially if you are a, relatively new player and you don't know where to look for things. Even if you are a seasonal player, many things can be very difficult to find. So they are continuing to discuss it and improve the way you find things in the settings. Currently, they're working on trying to reorganize things so the more critical things are way more accessible. And they are still playing around with ideas such as, a search function, which would be huge. Love to see that implemented, because they recognize that the settings currently are more directed to more engaged users rather than, your new players. So that's definitely something they are trying to tackle currently. So when we hear more information, I'll let you guys know. Next up, I'll briefly touch on UI scaling. This is still something that is ongoing. They are trying to provide it for us, which will be huge. You'll be able to, make things larger. A lot of times it's harder to see things on RuneScape, especially if you are playing on higher resolutions. So that'll be really good to see that. Basically, they want to, unify the UI between the PC and mobile. So it's far more similar between the two if you play it on mobile. UI is very different. So that is something that they're trying to, bridge that gap between the two, and is an ongoing effort, as I said. The last thing I want to touch on for this video is something known as long distance pathfinding. Basically, the way the game works right now, Jagex is pretty limited to the portions of the grid that they can work with within the map area and how they connect with one another. But they are planning to make some kind of changes. I don't really understand how it's going to be implemented, etc. But what it will allow is obviously longer distance pathfinding, and in turn the breadcrumb trails that they have when you add a marker or whenever they have those tutorials that kind of lead you to a new area will be able to traverse or lead the player across much farther distances than they currently do now, to hopefully, aid with the new player experience, as well as, anybody who just wants to set a marker on the world map. Anyways, that is it from the live stream as it pertains to the core experience for the game. Let me know what you guys think about everything discussed in this video. I'm going to wrap it up there. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date in all things RuneScape related, then do hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. I am out. Aloha.